Hey there, everybody, Jason Ryan here from iAnimate. Hopefully you're all doing fantastic. So in this week's snippet, we're going to talk about the use of live action reference and blocking your shot out. So in last week's snippet, we talked about the use of live action reference and how I get to the stage where I'm shooting live action reference with informed information, right? So I did that scribble pass, that 2D pass, where I basically thought about the staging and the types of poses that I'm going to be using, and then I shot live action reference, right? Now this is the live action reference up here inside of Maya, which is synced to the Maya timeline, right? So in last week's snippet, I showed you how to do that using Digicel Flipbook. And then when I'm blocking out the shot, I'm analyzing basically the main storytelling poses, like the main keys, if you will, as if I was kind of storyboarding the shot, but also trying to look at the expressions of the character, try to get the intent and the fingers and everything. So I try to get those main keys here. So you can see here, I've got everything selected, like all my curves are selected, and I've basically just set these pillar keys, right? So if I go through them, I'm just kind of analyzing what's happening in the live action reference and sort of duplicating it, interpreting it with the character in mind, right? So pushing it a little bit further. So, bringing my hand up like this, seeing the fingers and everything, right? And because what's going on in the live action reference, it's very grounded in reality, right? So we have a natural feel to the animation. Now, when we get into animation, I want to push it. I want to push that even further, get it better than life, right? So I've got this pose here. So trying to get like that kind of wondrous kind of look, maybe pushing the tilt on the head, getting the fingers just right. Okay, then we have this little thought, like squinting the eyes, bringing the brows down, right? Trying to encapsulate all that within the pose. And then we have this quick pointing gesture. Her reaction wasn't right, that quick gesture, right? So trying to get that timing in there as well, right? So using that live action reference, again, get that squint, pushing forward, get the tilt of the head, then the a little bit of a thought right here, and then let the pupils come down, push the head pose down. So we get that thought, and then see the eyes dart over. So I'm looking for those major changes in the motion and just trying to encapsulate that, caricature it for our character here. Okay, pushing over here, and then getting the eyes over this way. Like even little subtle things like, I'm thinking like the chest is sort of moving back, but my head is coming over. So trying to feel out everything in here, right? So the chest, the shoulders, the neck relationship, the head relationship, making sure everything feels connected. Okay, and then pushing over here, eyes getting slightly wider, right? He's getting that realization. Then look up, and then we have that nice squinch. Okay, and hysterical, right? And they're just trying to find, those last few poses right here, right? So again, just trying to look at the live action reference, seeing what's going on, and then caricaturing it for the character. Okay, and then we have a little settle at the end. Right, so now if I was to play blast this with all the computer in-betweens, it'd be really, really distracting, right? So if we just, rewind it back here and hit play.
I showed her my true face.
Very,
Her
very
reaction
slow,
wasn't very
very.
flattering. As a matter of fact, she got downright hysterical. I showed her my true face.
Right. So when I'm going to do a play blast to show my director, what I like to do is get it into step mode. I just want to see the work that I've actually put in, right? So I've got a graph editor, everything selected. I just go ahead and hit step mode, right? And this way, it's basically a pose test, like, pretty much the way we would have worked in 2D, like storyboarding out the shot. You just do your main poses, right? And then if I hit play.
I showed her my true face. Her reaction wasn't very flattering. As a matter of fact, she got downright hysterical.
All right. And then from here, when I'm starting to break down the mechanics, then what I'm looking at is in between this key and this key, I'm looking for those timings. Like how do I get from pose to pose? How do I favor the poses to get a little bit more snap in the action, right? So then I'll go back and set it back to auto spline. Right, so I can see the computers in betweens, and then I'm just taking it from there, right? So like I want to get that head up a little faster, the hands dragging down, so it's not going to be like this, it's going to be dragging downwards, getting that nice flip over, right? So I've got another Maya file here where I'm starting to break down the mechanics, and I'll show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. All right, so we got this one right here, and I'll show my curves just so I could get to see all of my my keys here, right? And then what I'm doing is I'm going through finding the next most important thing, right? So like you see like a whole ton of keys here, but it wasn't just like set a key here, set a key here, set a key here, set a key here. It was more like I'm going to try and find the breakdown first between that pose that was at 20, and 10, right? So I want to get this pose like where I'm starting to drag the hand here, right? And then I'm getting this head coming up, trying to get like these little head shakes that are going on up here in my head. And then I'm going to try to push this a little bit further, right? So I'm trying to get a little bit more of an accent in the body, make it better than life, push it beyond the live action reference, right? And then coming down here, so you can see like I'm trying to look and analyze what's happening in the live action reference and trying to set a key in there for anything that's going on. So here I'm pushing a little further, right? Trying to get a little bit more of a breakdown there, right? And then up for the finger and then coming forward. So trying to analyze exactly what's going on in the live action reference and then going ahead and try to push forward with the character, right? Make it better than life, all right? So I've got a little quick time here of both the blocking and then the sort of the breaking down of the mechanics. So there's no lip sync yet, right? And there's no facial animation other than the keys that we set earlier on in our blocking, right? So the next stage will be to get the lip sync in and do the facial and then start to polish up the mechanics, right? So this is the blocking.
I showed her my true face. Her reaction wasn't very flattering. As a matter of fact, she got downright hysterical.
All right. So now if I show this to my director, we can talk about the acting choices. We can talk about, seeing it with the live action reference to show which way I'm actually planning out the actual shot, right? So now this blocking took, give or take around 2 hours, right? And then I spent another 2 hours just going ahead and breaking down the mechanics, right? So like I just showed you in Maya, just sort of analyzing how I'm getting from key to key, and then sort of pushing it from there to try and let the shot evolve and push beyond the live action reference, right? So I don't want to just emulate the live action reference perfectly, exactly, because then it would almost be like motion capture. I want to go beyond it, right? So now this is without lip sync, right? So the next stage will be to do the lip sync, which I'll show you next week.
I showed her my true face. Her reaction wasn't very flattering. As a matter of fact, she got downright hysterical.
All right, so you can see like the shots coming together, like we're getting all this nice little kind of head shakes and stuff in here, like that was in the live action reference, right? So these little things like help to give that erratic kind of motion, like where there's some tension in there, rather than that smooth underwater kind of feel that CG is really good at doing. So again, sort of like trying to find those breakdowns in there to help favor the timing so that we get that nice full feel to the animation. And then next week, I'll show you the lip sync. All right, take care, guys. All the best. Bye.